Hello. Sorry I am late. Uh, we just got caught in a storm. Hold on, let me close the door. Hold on. Hello. Sorry I am late. So hopefully people join. I know I wasn't on here last week because I was sick. It's rainy season now. We got caught in a storm and literally just walked in the house. So like the house like flooded. It's storming bad, Khadijah. It is. I mean, we're safe, but it's definitely one of the things about living here. It is the storm can hit out of nowhere and it floods quickly. So we were stuck in Central waiting on a car and all of the things, but I'm here now. I'm here I'm here now. Sorry I am late. For those of you guys who are joining in, please like this live, share this live, let folks know I am here. Last week I was sick and decided to take an extended day of rest, which I needed because I really didn't begin to feel like myself until Monday, this past Monday. So lots of things. How is everyone doing? Yeah, I'm feeling much better. Thank you. How is everyone doing? Hello, Cheryl. Hello, Khadijah. Yeah, it's just one of them things. Girl, I did post some videos of the storm that's happening now in my Insta stories. I did just a really quick YouTube short, so you'll be able to catch it. You'll definitely be able to catch it, but literally just walked in the door 5 minutes ago. Um, but today I wanted to have a conversation with you guys because there's trends that I'm seeing online about how people are continuing to, yeah, it's rainy season. It's rainy season through from May to about September. And this rainy season is much worse than last year's. Last year's rainy season, it didn't rain like consistently every evening or every afternoon. And this year it came earlier and it's hitting more frequent and it's hitting a little bit harder. So like everybody's houses are leaking, including ours. And it's literally raining on my head in my closet. So the workers have been here this week trying to get the closet, well, not just my closet, but the entire roof repair because it is impacting like pretty much the whole front side of our house, but then also in our bathroom and bedroom, which is in the back. So everybody's houses is flooding, walls is raining, roofs is leaking with rain, and it's a whole thing. It is a whole thing. So, yeah, when we talk about life abroad and living abroad and just the different kind of construction that, you know, you experience as far as the infrastructure here. Hey, Tara. As far as the infrastructure, it is not like the United States. Not saying the U.S. is better. Maybe for coding purposes, the U.S. purposes is better. You are being cleansed by the water. I mean, I love it, but it is. You don't want to be caught out in it. That's for damn sure. Hey, Mom, I miss you. I was thinking about you this afternoon. Um, yeah. So it's when I tell you the street is flooded, the y'all need to just make sure you check out my Insta stories or my Facebook stories, wherever you, and I did post a video on YouTube. So we did get caught up in it. We were at one of our favorite restaurants. Honey went to go pick her up something to eat, and it literally in like 2 minutes it was coming down. Like water is rushing down the street. But I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about a trend that I am seeing from pretty much TikTok, I think, because that's where I spend my doom scrolling in the middle of the night. I tend to doom scroll more in the middle of the night once I lay down and have done all the things for the day. But I'm seeing a lot of trends on how people are moving abroad. And I try not to focus a lot of my content on Friday Night Lives on, hey, Angie, on moving abroad. But tonight, I really want to continue to have. I know the last time we went live, I talked about moving abroad in a different context, but this time I'm talking about what not to do and how to do it better, how to move abroad better. And I actually did have an opportunity to take notes. Normally, I'll take notes before going live. That didn't happen today. That did not happen today. But neither here nor there. I definitely can do this off the top of my head. Okay, I thought the lights just went out, but I don't think so. Um, it's you guys are getting real time. So if I cut out, it is because of the power. We haven't had any flickers with the power, so I don't think it'll go out. But just so you guys know, and so I'm gonna pull up just my notes as far as, or just talk to you guys about what I'm seeing, and tell me if you're seeing the same thing in like the move abroad content. So there was a post on TikTok. A woman, she has shared that she was tired. She and her husband were tired. They are moving out of the country, and if you have any advice, just please drop it in the comments. They didn't have any particular destination in mind, but they were just tired of the U.S. and they were getting ready to go. And understandably so, people are definitely frustrated with the circumstances and the things that are happening in the US. And there's a lot of escapism that's happening. And because of the urgency and the lack of, really desiring to move abroad, but more so seeing it as like, let me get out of here, people are not planning accordingly. People are not doing their due diligence. And what makes me say that is because I ended up commenting on this particular woman's TikTok video, and I said, just we left in 2023, blah 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 blah. But I also said, just pay attention to the visas that each country is offering. And you want to make sure that you're fully aware of the visas. And I know that you guys are very well versed in this whole move abroad to Thailand. And there's nothing against Thailand. I've never been there. I know I'm pretty sure just everybody can't be wrong. It's a beautiful place. But one of the things that always gets me concerned about, especially Southeast Asia in general, but Thailand specifically, is the fact that they don't have any residency visas that I am aware of. Please, if something has changed, as of to date of this video, July 18th, Friday, July 18th, there are no permanent residency visas in Thailand, and people are moving over there with droves with their family, with their small children. And one of the things that people don't know until is that, number one, it's costly to move abroad, period. But then when you start adding multiple bodies, everything gets either doubled, tripled, quadrupled, just depending upon how many members of your family that you have. And when you have countries that you are relying upon their, certain visas, but they're not residency visas. That's one of the things that I love of a residency. That's one of the things that I do love about here in Mexico. It does offer us a sense of stability because we moved abroad and we have legal residency in the country. And next year we will be permanent residents. So we're currently on a temporary residency, and then next year it'll be our fourth year. We will be going permanent. And Thailand is not offering that. I have not seen that. And if you guys know something different, please continue to, or just let me know in the comments what you guys are seeing. But what I'm also seeing on social media now are people, good, hello, Yaya. People are starting to vocalize how expensive it is to do border runs, because you have to do border runs every so often. If it's 30, 60, 90 days, 180 days, you have to do border runs. And the more people that are in your family, the more expensive it gets. And there was a gentleman who posted online that said he only had enough money for his wife and children, but not enough for himself. And he ended up spending some days in jail as a result of it. And again, it goes to the lack to me, because when we moved abroad, when we started our process in 2022, we did scouting trips. Scouting trips was a thing. It was an actual thing. I don't see it being so much of a thing now. People are moving with lack of preparation, with lack of planning, with lack of understanding the legal processes, with lack of just information in total. And what it does is you're setting yourself up for failure. And so, and I'm when I offered that lady in her comments, just pay attention to the visas in per country, she was like, "Well, we don't plan to stay that long." And I'm just like, "That's fine if you're on a tourist visa, but you never know what could happen. You never know what could happen." Case in point, COVID, and people were locked in, said countries that they were visiting at the time. And it's always good to understand what legal processes they allow for people who are on tourist visas or extended tourist visas. If there are residency permits that you can get, retirement visas that you can go on, student visas that you can go on for however long of a period of time, and what it takes to get it done. If you have to start the process in your home country, and then you have to, in the process in that said country, what documents are required, if there are background checks, because there are countries that require criminal background checks in general. So to me, people are just doing this, and this ain't how you do it. This is just not how you do it. The DTV visa is 5 years, but even with the DTV visa, you have to do border runs. To my understanding, with the DTV visa, 15K. And now that's another thing, having to put 15,000 US dollars in a foreign bank. And what is the foreign banking policy? Can you access that money? Like what do those things look like? But you have to do border runs, and it is a multi-entry visa, yes. And the border ones, again, tend to be expensive the more people that you are. Now, if you're solo traveling, of course, that tends to be a little bit more economical. But if you are looking to actually not slow travel, and it's just you and your partner, or you and somebody else, then it tends to be a little bit more feasible. Also, when we talk about getting places abroad, so if you are seeking to get an apartment in said country, get in expat groups, get in these Facebook groups, because they can tell you the do's, the don'ts, what to look out for, the Airbnb policies and the things like that. That's another thing. Even since we started traveling in and out of the country back in 2022, or when we started our process in 2022, it wasn't a thing to get an Airbnb. Now, to get an Airbnb, there's restrictions worldwide on Airbnb in said countries to control tourism. And so it limits you as far as what availability you have as far as securing a place abroad, and then also as far as like inventory is concerned. And then if you look to get an apartment, what are the rental requirements? What's one of the things that's happening here in Mexico is in San Miguel de Allende. We're accustomed to it with Mexico City and even Guadalajara. But now here in San Miguel de Allende, people are asking for an aval. I've heard that. I've heard people asking for credit checks, which are they're non-applicable here in Mexico. Like a US credit only, matters in the United States. But then when you have said owners who are either Canadian and or from the United States, they're asking for the US requirements, which in Mexico, none of that it makes a difference. But what we're seeing is they're starting to require background checks and credit verification, and what your credits and all of these things. So when I'm seeing this upward trend of people saying, "Hey girl, hey," when people are saying, um, we're just going to do this without a plan in place, or we're going to slow travel. And slow travel is, that's a total different experience and process. But still, understand the countries that you're going to and what their global politics are. That's another thing. It's like, yeah, you're slow traveling, but how far does the US dollar go? Is that country, what is the global relations around the world with the said country that you're slow traveling or that you're visiting? Like it's just mind blowing to me, just a lack of due diligence that is becoming more and more popular in said countries that people are going to. and and that's one of the things that I do like about Mexico specifically is, I'm not familiar with like other parts of Latin America, but I know that there's legal ways that provide you a little bit more sense of security and protection from a legal aspect that will, ensure you have the beginnings of a successful stay abroad. Um, Am I making sense? Yes, that's why I didn't choose Thailand only only for bopping around. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, credit checks, letters of references. That's another thing. I had to do a character reference for another friend of mine. She is, changing her apartment, and she was like, "Tracy, would you mind being a reference?" I mean, I absolutely don't mind. What do you want me to say? What? Give me the deeds so I make sure that my support matches the support that you need to get this place. And it's just like they sent me a message. First of all, they sent me a message via WhatsApp. They asked me they asked me three questions, but two of them were the same question asked in a different way. And then they asked, like, my friend's profession. So I answered all the questions. I sent her a screenshot, just to make sure she and I are on one accord. And I told the people if they need anything else, let me know. But again, and I'm just like, who are these people? It's like, so if you are choosing to rent for here specifically in Mexico, I prefer having a Mexican landlord. Like our owner is a Mexican woman. Like we know who our owner is and we know who her family is. And that makes all the difference because when you start renting from people who are foreigners themselves, then the processes tend to be to the countries that they're coming from, and that is an uptick of what we're seeing now. Especially again, the since San Miguel is voted the number one place to live in the world according to Travel and Leisure magazine. This is the second year in a row. It's like I heard references in some places in Playa del Carmen, which is interesting because Playa is one of the places where there's a lot of tourism and they're accustomed to people coming and going. So starting to require letters of references. Another thing that they're starting to do or that they have done for a while now, but we're hearing more and more of it is making sure that you have your residency, making sure that you have some stake in this in the country. So the owner isn't left with high and dry. Yeah, it's real. Yeah. So these are things that people need to know. There is an uptick of information that is happening, especially, and I'm referring specifically to TikTok right now because that tends to be, again, it's like that's my pleasure spot as far as like doom scrolling in the middle of the night. And there is an uptick of like, we'll just figure it out when we get there. No, sir, ma'am. Not only will it will bankrupt you, it will make you broke because you're not prepared. You will find yourself or potentially find yourself in sticky situations that you could have potentially avoided had you done your due diligence. And so I know it's a lot right now, and people are just trying to figure it out, especially if, moving abroad is something that they are desiring, for themselves. But escapism, first of all, is not the way to go about it. Fleeing is going to create a sense of urgency that does not allow you to be as prepared as you can be. Another thing that I encourage my clients to do, again, mind you, I work with women in business, but for my women in business who are moving abroad, I have clients who own their own businesses and they're moving abroad also, is I work with them to start the process in advance before they leave their home country. And the reason why is because you have to start putting the ball in place and the structure in place to make sure that you can continue to create a viable source of income for yourself. Now, people have retirement, they have remote jobs, and even with remote jobs, you have to make sure that you have the proper infrastructure set up to make sure, because remote doesn't necessarily mean global remote. It can mean your home country remote. And that's a lot for taxation reasons. One of the accountants that I ran into that I met over the weekend, because she works for a particular company, she encouraged that company to put her or use her as a 1099, so they don't have to pay taxes on her. She ain't got to pay, taxes on them, or however it works out. And she was able to protect herself, to where she can work anywhere in the world because she's a 1099. And it is said company that she is employed with. So they have her as a 1099. So if you are working for certain companies, see if that is a potential option, for taxation purposes, and that way you can be anywhere in the globe on the globe, and they don't have any say as far as your jurisdiction. But it's really it's interesting to watch people set themselves up for failure, because one of the things that you don't moving abroad is not for the weak. It is not. It is not for the weak, and it ain't for the weak minded, because it is going to test you in ways that you are not going to be ready for. It is going to test you financially. It is going to test your mental capacity for learning new things, on a continuous basis. It is going to test you in just your emotional state, because a lot of things that you have yet to deal with in the country, in your home country, especially coming from the United States, where we're not, we're always on the go. So we don't have any time to lay dormant and just be, because we're constantly living in a state of hypervigilance. So our nervous system is overworked. But when your nervous system begins to calm down, everything begins to surface. Things start to surface. And one of the things that begin to surface is, who the fuck am I? Why the hell did I do this? Did I make the right decision? And then simultaneously you're trying to immerse yourself in said communities, learn the language, get accustomed to the customs, because everything is different. So again, you need to have a really, deep conversation with yourself and anybody else who is coming along with you for the journey, because shit that lies dormant, it is going to surface, including the stuff that's within you. um, is Is this just a matter of people not doing the research, or no? The info is out there. The information is out there. They're just choosing not to do the research. There's too much free content on YouTube, on TikTok. You can book consultations with people. I actually created specifically just for this conversation. I created a consult. I don't do move abroad consultations normally. I don't do them, but I even gave like a discounted rate for an hour, because that is not my normal rate just to work, meet with me. But I, in the description of this video, because people don't want to pay for shit. They don't want to pay for shit, but they don't realize when they pay for stuff, especially with people who have a little skin in the game, who can guide them, it ultimately will save them money. And even though we did our due diligence, we did like 8 scouting trips. We met with certain people and we paid them for their time and information. However, we still end up losing money in the process, because everything is a learning curve. So it's just that people don't want to pay for nothing, and they they just in the fuck around and find out mode. And but they don't realize is, you know, it costs them unnecessarily. I saw another video on TikTok with a woman. This was a black woman who said what people don't tell you about Thailand specifically. This was the country that she moved from. She left the US, her and her family left the US. They moved to Thailand, and then she said they left Thailand. I don't know where they are now. And she said the reason why we left, because the border runs got to be too expensive, because they have to pay, and you're at the mercy of the customs officer who is, there at the particular time. You're at that mercy, and the only thing that will let some people through is the fact that they have an apartment or a lease there, and they were like, oh, okay, you can go. And then there can be certain borders that are going to be a little bit more strict than others, especially if they've seen that you've gone multiple times. So again, it's like, do your due diligence, do your research. Also, I would be lying to you if I did not say move. If you are coupled, if you are married, if moving abroad is not going to test your relationship. If you, when I tell you, child. So what I'm seeing again, I keep referencing TikTok, but what I'm seeing now are people in, these two lesbian couples that I had I don't know if I followed them, but their content would come up on my timeline and on TikTok, and both of these sets of couples have broken up. And the reason why whatever their reasons are, but what people don't realize is that when you move abroad with somebody else, everything that you couldn't deal with before is going to surface abroad. Like it doesn't make it better. Like you and it puts, like, they're going through their own adjustment, as are you. They are going through their own, like, what the fuck now, as are you. There are a lot of things that are happening simultaneously, and if you guys aren't growing together or having conversations together or relying on each other's strengths to continue to grow in this direction, then oftentimes it could lead to the end of a relationship. And I wasn't surprised. I mean, I wasn't surprised. It's just, par for the course, but I understand why. I understand why I'm seeing more and more, people deciding no longer to be together because things are hitting differently. And I'm not trying to make it seem like, oh, don't move abroad with your significant other. No, I'm saying have, a realistic look at where things are. And if you are not dealing with something, make sure you deal with it then, because it is only going to magnify when you cross the borders and somewhere else, because you're dealing with a new lifestyle. You're dealing with something else. Yeah, exactly. They're moving abroad on a wing and a prayer child, and sometimes not even that. Not even that. And it's just amazing. It's amazing to me, just the lack of preparation. And when I tell you, you can even be the most prepared, so you think, and then you're going to get sucker punched in another area. This is why I say moving abroad is not for the weak. It is not for the weak, nor is it for the weak minded. And I need you to have a real conversation with yourself, and book some time with me, and we can, like, sort through. And this is not even to plug me, but to plug me. It's just like, what are your shortcomings? Where do you see yourself? um why are you doing this? What is your reason why? You absolutely have to have a strong reason why. And running because you don't agree with the president of the United States ain't enough. It's not enough. It could be the catalyst, but it can't be the sole reason why. And or doing it because of fear of missing out. That's another thing I'm seeing a lot. Oh, FOMO. That shit, don't believe everything that you see online, because they're only showing the highlights. They ain't showing when they ask, I ain't got no money. They ain't showing when they don't have the things that they need to make their life comfortable. Don't, like, they're not showing any of that. This is why it's important to prepare yourself as much as you can, as much as you can. And don't sleep on, like, is slow traveling and or scouting trips, because it'll let you know, like, you know is this a good place for me or not. But also do your due diligence with natural disasters. Global disasters is real, and places that normally don't have floods or earthquakes, they're having them now, and that is true globally. So, like, I know here in Mexico specifically, Mexico is an extremely seismic country. Earthquakes are all the time here, especially on the west coast of the country, meaning like Oaxaca and Guerrero, like over there, all the time. And then when you get to the Yucatan Peninsula in Merida, they have hurricanes. And if you work remotely, you have to make sure that you have the stuff, meaning like the things that absorb, I forgot the name of the thing, but we have them in the house, stuff that absorbs water, because it'll mess up your supplies. It'll mess up your computers and all of the things because of the moisture in the air. Like, child, you know, I just get so frustrated because people are dumb. People are, thank you so much, that damper it. People are dumb, and they're not, and they may not think, they're like, oh, I can do this on my own. This ain't nothing. You can't do this shit by yourself. You can, yeah, a dehumidifier is good too, but you can't do this stuff by yourself. And it starts before you leave. So get in community with people, get in conversation with people, schedule time with someone that has been there and has done that. Also, I'm having a friend right now who is trying to get her consulate appointment in the United States and can't get one. And she has tried multiple different cities in 3 different states. And it just because of the mass exodus and or them, tightening up the restrictions on how many appointments that they're taking for people. So to think that what's happening, in the United States is not bleeding over into other countries. Other countries are wisening up. They are wise. They're starting to put restrictions in place. They're starting to make things more difficult and more expensive because what's happening is these said countries are starting to say the way you treated our citizens and not letting them get into your United States, we starting to treat yours that way. So that's really what I wanted to have a conversation about. Let me know if y'all have some questions, but don't be one of those people. Like, don't be one of, don't think, don't cut corners. Maximize your streams of income. Have multiple streams of income. Save your money, invest your money, get in community with people now in Facebook groups, get in community with people when you get abroad and you get to put yourself out there, ask questions. Ask questions. Don't take and another thing that we see is people start to become a recluse because all of this stuff for them starts to come up and then they don't get the necessary support that they need in trying to get acclimated into their new home country. It's like they revert back to the individualistic mindset and the way of life that didn't serve them where they came from, and then they try to do that here because now they're compounded with a level of emotions and your mental health and wellness, but trying to have a life abroad or in their new country. It's like we're seeing a lot. We are starting to see a lot, and that's making us be like, this wasn't us. It is a whole new generation of and different kind of people, different breed of people that are leaving. They're coming and then they're like, oh, we know of somebody that did an about face in like 2 weeks or less. Rushed and got a place, rushed and got the supplies for the place prematurely, didn't allow enough time to just say if I like it here, and ended up turning around and leaving and said, well, I'll be back maybe. I'm like, well, wait a minute, you done wasted all this money. You done got this place and just was like, fuck it, just because something was not to their level of comfort and convenience. Like, does that make sense? Like, when I, and we just be like, so again, like I'm saying, everything that you have yet to deal with, and a lot of times you don't even know what that may be, and sometimes you may. Make a list of of the if you are an uptype person, if you are a type A person, if you are a rigid person, this may not be the move for you. If you have a hard time with change, this may not be the move for you. Um, Yeah, in Portugal. Yeah, before you can get approved for residency. Like to me, and then I'm glad you brought up Portugal. And what will happen is in certain countries, you can't leave for a long period of time, at least 6 months, and I think Portugal is one of them. Once you get the residency, it's something crazy. Like you can't leave. And I understand the country's reason, but if you have family that's far away, logistics does play a part. Logistics plays a part. You know how many people that live here have had to fly back to the United States, for an emergency, not an or like they had to do something really quick. So when you talk about adding distance in between you and your home country, meaning like Southeast Asia, or you have maybe parts of Europe, that is dollars. That's not something that, oh, let me book the next flight out, because it's going to be thousands and thousands of dollars just to get the next flight out. Versus like here, we're 3.5 hours away on a plane from either Atlanta or Oakland. So there are going to be things that come up that are going to hit you in more ways than you are not realizing, that you fail to realize. And the lack of preparedness is what we see. And you don't, again, you don't know what you don't know. So I wanted to share. Y'all heard me crack my knuckles. I wanted to share that with you guys because what I don't want is I don't want that to be you. Like I don't want that to due diligence is, it can make a world of a difference in your experience, in your, setting realistic expectations, in your connection to community and access to resources, what to do, what not to do, where to go, where not to go, how to go somewhere a little bit more efficiently and economically versus not, all because you're accessing information, you're meeting with people, you're getting in community, you're asking questions. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys are seeing the same things, but I'm seeing a lot of all of this happen on TikTok. And I don't know if it's the demographic. I don't know. I can't even say if it's they're older, they're young. Well, mm, you know, I don't know. Yeah. So thank y'all for bearing with me and dealing with me and showing up even still that I was late today, a few minutes late because of the weather. Um, Thank y'all for your kind words when I did not feel well. I absolutely appreciate that. But I really want you guys to take this information. If you want to meet with me, the link is in the bio. Also, I forgot to mention, oh, yeah. Oh, two things. I always forget to do housekeeping. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. Please, it does nothing for costs you nothing to like and subscribe. But it does let YouTube algorithm be a little bit more kinder to me in recommending the video out to other people so they can, learn more about, things that I talk about here on this channel. But don't forget, I also added the Leader Retreat, which is happening in November of this year. So the Leader Wellness Retreat for women is happening here in San Miguel de Allende. I have some, amazing practitioners that are coming aboard abroad. No, they already live here. So on board to, help facilitate workshops, Reiki, yoga, um, wellness, leader wellness. And we'll be doing a lot of great things. Check it out. The link is there to secure your spot. And what else? Oh, I dropped a link in the description because I work with women in business. I really want to know what specifically your needs are. So there is a survey link. I don't know. Again, mind you, I didn't have an opportunity to get my stuff together, but there is a link in the description it's less than 5 minutes about where you are in business and what your challenges are. Because in order for me to make sure that I'm doing my part, I need to hear from you guys. And I want to hear from people who are either not aspire. I can't work with novice people. Like, oh, I wonder what it's like to. No, we don't do that over here. But if you actually have a viable business and what your challenges are, how I can best create something that, or amplify or perfect something that really supports people in their journey to create a successful business. This is not the economy to not know how to make money for yourself. It's just not. This ain't the time to rely on somebody else. This is not the time to rely on nobody's government. Speaking those of us who are from the United States, to say when you can and cannot get paid. This is just not the economy. This is the time to maximize on the resources that you have and your intellectual property that you have and can make money from. And that is where I come in. I come in and I work with women like that. It's like, this is my area of expertise, but I'm struggling in said area to either garner leads, to become visible, understanding structure, understanding strategy, and like all of that is my area of expertise. And that's one of the things that brings me joy. And that is also why um, I created the leader community, but in order for you guys to be able to be a part of it and get the most of it, I need to hear from you. So there is a link in the description of this video. Please, please, I'm begging you, go fill out that 5-minute survey. It's less than 5 minutes. I think it's like 5 questions. And if you can fill that out, it just gives me a little bit more clear understanding, a deeper understanding as far as the needs that you're experiencing right now. If I could make, if I could take you from 0 to 60 in a certain amount of seconds, then that's what I am going to do. Okay. Yes. I think that's it, y'all. It ended up being a short live tonight. Um, I guess because I got in here with all of that energy of being outside and just got to the point. But I think that's it. I'm not going to belabor this conversation. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. For those of us who are here in San Miguel, let's stay dry. Thank you so much, Cheryl. You are appreciated too. And I will talk to you guys next week. Have a wonderful Friday night. Okay, bye.